You're listening to the She Lift Project podcast, a show dedicated to helping women achieve higher levels of success in the workplace. No matter where you are in your career, we want to help you grow. Now here's your host, Cynthia Kirkpatrick, a CPA, CFP, and Senior Financial Advisor at Moneta Group.
Welcome to another episode of the She Lift Project podcast. I'm Cynthia Kirkpatrick, and today I'm excited to welcome Felice McClendon, the first executive director, Delmar Main Street. Yeah. And really, you're going to tell us, but your job is bringing people together, opening doors for economic opportunities, and transforming Delmar and the area. What I read was a vibrant destination for residents and tourists.
That's it. We like to say we've got big D energy on Delmar. So the D is for destination, though. But yeah, we are doing economic vitality just to create places for people so that St. Louis really is a destination location.
And I haven't put my papers down yet because I also wanted part of your LinkedIn about you, which I loved and I underlined, talks about a destination where passion meets purpose.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like so many of us are searching for that. And I loved your words there. And it just sort of, it was like, when I read that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, story of my life, I think who wants to go to work every day and you hate it? But we really are in this space on Delmar Main Street where we're in community. That's another one where I like to say it's an invitation for everybody to come unity. We are a community and we want everyone to find their place and their purpose. Literally one of my transformation strategies from Main Street America, because it is a national model, is to create and transform places for people. So it always goes back to what is at the inner heart of people, to give them space and a place to thrive.
And for people who don't know Delmar or that area, or what's either the recent history or the transformation or what's going on there now, explain it.
Fun fact, there are over 2,000 Main Streets across the country. We are a part of the Main Street America network. And so what that is, in our own state has about 70 Main Streets. St. Louis has 3 Main Streets. What is a Main Street? A Main Street is there to bolster the economic vitality of communities, as we really think of small business as the front door to community. So I like to think of it as an invitation, as I often talk about come unity, because I really am on Delmar. If you've ever heard of that Delmar divide, the whole notion is that I'm here to bring, a whole community together. That community on Delmar Main Street. So from the city limits to Taylor, it's roughly about a 3.5 linear mile stretch of Delmar. And when I say the city limits, a lot of times people think that's Skinker, but it's really about 1,000 or so square feet into the loop, what people think of as University City. But that eastern part of the loop, which is part of the East Loop CID, a CID, it stands for a commercial improvement district. So that just means, all of that commercial improvement that you see along Delmar all the way through to Taylor. So that's past Euclid, the intersection that picks up the Central West End. But as nice as it looks in U City, we're just there to keep replicating good best practices so that you see revitalization throughout the whole corridor. Our neighborhoods we're surrounded by 8 neighborhoods. That's 250 businesses and 959,000 people. So just shy of 37,000 people. We are over 10% of St. Louis's population as we know it today. So there's always been density and community and just a sense of home. And we want to keep it that way by making sure our small businesses thrive.
Yeah, I think I've been down, many of us, I'm sure, have been down on Delmar thinking about, the glass factory. They hold a lot of events and it's a destination, right? to come together in community or hold events or just, have fun and bring your friends, bring, family events, et cetera, et cetera. And there's new restaurants. And like you said, I've noticed, a lot of small, crafty, boutique-y shops where people are pouring their love into the things that they're making. And now they're able to sell their goods there. So it certainly seems as though, and maybe this is, 3 kids and a job and all that. I may be late to the game, but it certainly seems like there's so much more being offered.
Oh,
there.
Yeah. I mean, even that area that you're talking about, over 22, 23 years now, I think Doug started the Third Degree Glass Factory. And I mean, for 20 plus years, every third Friday, they have this kind of community come out. It feels like a block party. Everyone, really activates that space unless there's a special event there. But yeah, over 20 years, he had that vision. Little known fact, folks didn't know, across the street, there's another great venue, Exodus Art Gallery. It was impacted by the tornado, but they are already rebuilding to bring that back up whole. But beautiful space, and Carlton Mitchell owns that space. Nondescript, there's not a big name on it or anything, but in that space alone, the Maker District, the Delmar Maker District, 12 new restaurants opened just in 2024, so there's been a lot of thoughtfulness about revitalizing this space. Really, when you think about the Delmar corridor, and specifically that space from the city limits, starting at the East Loop SID all the way to Taylor, it's made up of 4 uniquely distinct quarters, if you will, to make up a whole. And a lot of times I'll do this really awkward thing anytime I'm asked to speak, and I'll say, "Excuse me, do you have change for $1? Do you have 4 quarters? Do you have 4 quarters?"
I probably don't.
Right, because it's hard to make change. That's my whole thing. Yeah, it's hard to make change. And so instead of dealing with the 4 uniquely specific, beautiful 4 quarters that we have, why not come together as one whole? So, the East Loop SID, that's where, the pageant is, that's spilling off of, that is the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, that's where my building lives with Maxine started the Delmar Divine. There's over 40 businesses there, close to, I think, 200 or so residents as well in that facility, where she put over $100 million to bring historic preservation to that hospital. It was a hospital before that. So an amazing space that takes you to Union. And so from Union to Kings Highway, that's where you have the Makers District. We had Made there even, that had everything St. Louis made from every maker in St. Louis. Beautiful space. We're still, looking to see what revitalization looks like on this side of the tornado, but a lot of makers in that space. Organizations like Craft Alliance moved in there. So just a really, really great community. And that takes you all the way to Kings Highway. And that 4th quarter is the Elevation space. So from Elevation all the way, or from Kings Highway all the way to Taylor, there's the Elevation Project with Kevin Bryant, which is another set of development. So uniquely distinct projects, but again, we're one whole, we're one community, and that's the whole point.
What has been the challenge? Maybe just take a step back. How long have you been in this role?
A little over a year, started in May of 2024. And I mean, you talk about passion meets purpose. I feel like every job I have had to date has prepared me ish. but for this wonderful assignment, because it's everything, how they say the job that you wouldn't have to get paid to do is the job you really should do. I would do this 8 days a week. In fact, I do this 8 days a week, I think. No breaks, but I absolutely love it.
What is it that you love so much?
I mean, I think it's really, we have a model, our model for economic development. We call it the D train. Obviously, the D train because we're on Delmar, but also because we're talking about economic mobility. And I think just customizing the support that people need, because it's different. So think of when you go to a hotel and you come in and you ask to speak with the concierge. Everyone has similar, but somehow different and unique to their family about where they want to go. So that's my role. We often language it to say we're navigators for small business. So in the same way, if you got on a train and you need someone to help you navigate to know how you're going to get to your final destination, we're there to do that same thing with small businesses to better understand what their goals are for scale, what their goals are for development. Again, there are some similarities that we like to, compile that learning so that there's depth of knowledge that we can share and make it scalable for others. But then, sometimes it's very unique and it's customized to the individual business owner.
I would ask, this will be maybe, which I shouldn't do, a two-part question. So we're recording in July. This will be released in a few months. You referenced the tornado, which was almost 2 months ago. So my question was, what's the biggest challenge? So maybe before the tornado, what would have been the biggest challenge, and or, how did the tornado play into that? Because I would imagine, again, as we were talking before we started recording, you hear about these things, you hear it happening, you never imagine actually you were in it, living through that. So not only are you in that area personally, but your job is in that area. Everything.
Like I literally watched, I just lost a car. I was in my car at the intersection of Delmar and Union. So in as much as I was celebrating with, like I just mentioned, we had 12 new restaurants open inside of, an 18-month period. Just to have grand opening, to have a grand closing. So it was devastating because you're talking about putting blood, sweat, tears, just livelihood, family businesses, for many folks, even their second location. So Danny from the fountain, she's got the fountain on the historic fountain in the Locust Business District. She came to Delmar to bring us more of that same magic. And, it was just really heartbreaking. Steve's Hot Dog, Danny and Steve's Hot Dog, they share that location. So, I'd say pre-tornado, some of the challenges were, there is a very real issue with silos. St. Louis is kind of known for its silos. I think us being from the show me state, we take it a little too serious, and then there's kind of that distrustful, arms folded scowl, like, let me see what you got. I don't know if I trust it. I believe in it. And meanwhile, on the other side of the tornado, what I did get a chance to see is that repurposed pain of people coming together. The power of people has been nothing more than, it's been amazing to just really see people come together in ways that nothing short of a disaster would have called for that kind of courageous effort. But we're starting to see that now. So in as much as there has been this historical divide, and there are some very real issues that we still need to address as a city, as a region, the beauty of it is seeing the desire of people on the ground saying, not in this community. We are coming together. We're going to figure this out together. That's sometimes what tough times do. You got to repurpose the pain.
So, talked about personally and professionally being impacted.
Yeah.
Talking about celebrating all of these restaurants being opened. Literally, you're on the road in your car.
Yeah.
And this tornado.
This is not a drill. I looked up and I saw the sky. I said, I've never seen a sky like that. You know how you have one of, that's strange. And as soon as I had looked up, the woman in front of me, there was a car in front of me, starts driving back like 30, 40 miles an hour really fast. I'm thinking she's going to rear end me coming. She's driving backwards. I'm honking like, please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Stop, stop, stop. She's driving backwards because trees are flying in the air like toothpicks. She's trying to dodge and street lights, and she's trying to drive backwards to dodge, trees literally coming down. At that point, all of a sudden it's cold. I'm cold and I'm wet, but my windows weren't open. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not a drill. My window had exploded, my back window. So I ducked my head down, only for every single window in my car to explode and shatter over my body. And I'm like, it's TV, made for TV movies, like just this window explodes, this window explodes. And all I can do is keep my head down. I'm praying literally. I mean, I do feel like a miracle, like God spared my life. But if I did peek up some, I'm seeing trees come down and the impact to my car and tree, debris, bricks, sticks, everything. It's just sliding across the car, hitting me on my back. And, with some help, once it was over with, they helped me get out of the car, because there's all kinds of debris around my car. And they said, are you okay? Of course, I comparatively speaking, to physically be alive well enough to answer the question, I refused EMS. I said, I'm fine, because I'm looking at utter devastation wherever I look. There are just things hanging, and there are people bleeding, and it's surreal, right? So yeah, I was as impacted personally as it gets. I was in my car just trying to leave work and go pick my kid up home from school. It happened right around school time. And you know how they say you can't, serve out of an empty cup, kind of like when you're on the plane, they tell you put your oxygen mask on first so that you can be of service to someone else. So this is when I'm remembering my mom, old principle of HALT. I don't know if you know this one: never get too hungry, too angry, too lonely, or too tired. That means halt. It's time to halt. Any one of those. Hungry, that's hangry. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. But I just had to stop to catch my own breath so that I could go back in to serve St. Louis. And there were so many people who, in those 8 neighborhoods that I spoke of that surround the area, people who had been in homes from generation to generation. Those homes had been passed down to them. What I now know is that in many cases, if you didn't have a mortgage, your insurance is rolled into your mortgage. But if you don't have a mortgage, maybe you're not paying for the kind of insurance you need when a tornado comes. So I just saw people losing everything. Losing a car is one thing, but losing everything is a whole other premise. And so my heart went out, and it's when those of us that were already in community really had to roll up our sleeves and just, get in there and do what was necessary to help people find the relief. And, I will say this: there's relief, which is the immediate need, but then recovery is a long-term haul, so for a lot of people, it's out of sight, out of mind. And so the call for people to come home, or to come home to this part of St. Louis, is critical, because it's easy enough to just be like, well, that's not my community. Why would I care? But it's something that really does impact us all, because the level of devastation, I'd like to think of, a lot of times people would think about, you support an individual, someone who lives in the area. Of course, you call a friend, you call the person. But I like to elevate the attention also to think about helping small businesses, because for every small business that you support, that's what support looks like at scale. So if that small business employed somebody like Danny, 25, 50 households, whatever, however many employees she has, that's commensurate to however many households have been impacted. So the impact is really widespread, but that's another way to think about how you can scale the support, is to support the small businesses, because those communities are not going to be there very long without some sort of economic support, and that's coming from the small business community. So I had to jump in and not much time for respite and relief myself, but still, as soon as I could, get to those who needed help even more.
I think the HALT is interesting because I've never heard that before. And certainly in my own life, hangry, ooh, that's a thing, and tired. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Yeah.
being tired, definitely not at the top of your game. And the relief and the recovery, I like the delineation between those two, because as you said, there's a lot who show up on the relief side that when you get into that recovery, I think that's when the emotions and things really hit.
Yeah.
And things, that deep need takes hold, and the emotions come up. And you and I were sharing something interesting before, and I think the story is important not only from what you went through physically, but just as a metaphor for what so many of us maybe go through, is that being in that car. And I saw the picture. So anybody who's seen those movies of like New York City Avengers or something, where you see the vehicles and they're all smashed and the
explode.
Yes, the windows are out and there's everything all over the streets. That's literally what that looked like. That you end up having all these shards of glass everywhere in your body. And to, even still dealing with some of that, trying to get out, that feeling like, and feeling like you're okay, yet finding out later, maybe you're not. And I'm going to stop telling the story because this is yours, but it really struck me that this is so important.
It is. It is. I mean, it's a lot of, I don't know if you've ever heard of the social determinants of health, but it just kind of speaks to how the holistic picture of what institutes a quality of life and quality of health, so it's got an economic component, it's got an education component, it's it's all the things, right? So I think a lot of times we like to live and compartmentalize, like this is over here and this is over here. But it's not like that. Life is messy and stuff is touching, and it is, when you have that kind of everything just explodes and the pieces are everywhere, the option to compartmentalize and keep things all nice and neat, and I'm over here and you're over here, we don't have time or space for that. Everybody's really got to just dig in, and I would say there's different ways to volunteer. I mean, I learned that right away. Not every volunteer is a pick up a trash bag and put on, gloves and start dealing with debris. You're not that kind of volunteer. Maybe you're a volunteer your time and talent kind of volunteer. That's great. Maybe you want to volunteer your company to start getting corporate lunches for these businesses that really need the help right now. That's another way you can volunteer. So I like to let people know help is not a one size fit all anymore. And I also like to say recovery is a team sport. So it takes all of the players on the field. No matter what position you want to play, we can put you in the game because we need everybody right now. It's just really, that's what it's going to take for St. Louis to heal. It takes everybody.
Yeah, and on the big scale, but I think probably individually what everyone's facing too. You had mentioned, going out to a restaurant and hearing a plate drop or shatter.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like, so, I think a lot of times from a mental health lens, we do this very quickly. How are you? Are you okay? And you're not really listening for an answer. Like, you just want someone to say yes and keep going. If they say anything else, you're like, I really wasn't expecting that. Like, what do I do with this information? But this is a season to really check on people and see if they are okay. And I didn't know I was or wasn't until I went to go order some food. The waiter dropped a plate, and that happens all the time at restaurants. And I just started bawling, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Apparently not." I didn't know that, and so when people talk about PTSD or even secondary trauma, because sometimes even something doesn't have to happen to you. I think that's what happens to us sometimes when we're watching the news. You can just really get it takes a toll at some point, just even dealing with someone else's trauma. So we all have to take those breaks to halt periodically so that we can go back in, but be very attuned to paying attention to your own signs as well as what other signs are. Again, I can't serve unless I have done some self-service first, right? And self-care is not selfish. And we say these things and it sounds very, cute and like a cliche, but I'm really learning what it is to practice that, as it is integral to recovery, to just take those breaks, be human, for people who run big companies. And I used to say that with my old HR manager, and I tap her on the shoulder. I said, the H in HR stands for human. We're dealing with humans, right? So at the end of the day, no matter how much technology can do for us and all the other things that help us be more efficient, our systems, it really does take a neighbor being neighborly to care enough about the person next to them, or even in a community, a couple communities away, to say, I want to go, how can I help? Where can I serve? And being patient with the process, because it's a lot of moving parts to rebuilding. It's very complex, but there is room for everyone to serve.
Yeah, and as you said, human beings, and a lot of times these scars are deeper and or aren't the things that we can see. Mm-hmm. So having that grace or that patience to, they may show up later in yourself, in the mm-hmm. community, and knowing that it just takes time, it takes, help, takes things to, it will bubble up.
Yeah.
And being human about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Where do you... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I was, you talk about things people can't see. The first few days after, because I had all that glass explode over me, not a TV movie, in real life. And so first day I wake up, I can't see very well. This Sunday, same thing. Monday, the tornado was on a Friday. I'm at Monday and I'm waking up every day. I can't see. I'm like, is this a concussion? Like, I've never been much of an athlete, but like, I'm thinking it's internal. Do you know I had glass in my eyelashes? So you know how you wake up and you have like the crusty eye? Mm-hmm. My crusty eye was just embedded with glass particles because everything literally had shattered before my eyes. So here it is. No one could see that. I couldn't even see that. I could literally not even see how much damage I had been through, how much I had survived and sustained, while I'm out here still trying to move as if things are okay. So, sometimes it is good to stop and just, I don't want to say sit in it, but I did have to literally engulf and just like swimming pool, like that kind of like, not just wash your face quickly in the shower, but just like completely go down so I could come back up with a brand new vision, because I couldn't even see how much damage and how much trauma I literally had been impacted. But it took, sitting in it for a bit, going down, so I could come back up. So that's my hope for St. Louis right now, that, if we've had any downward trends, this is our opportunity for a reset. It's our opportunity to come back up, come back different.
As you said, I mean, that's another great metaphor in life, or whatever you want to call it. Had you powered through, had you just pushed through, how much more damage?
I would have kept doing damage to myself. I would have kept scarring myself. And, again, that's sometimes what untended to trauma looks like. So I think, we have, as a city, we have untended to trauma. That's how you get divides, and sometimes it is easier to step over the lump in the carpet until you trip and you bust your head, So at this point, we're having to deal with the lumps so that we don't keep tripping over things that have been impediments to our past. This really is this great invitation for us to get it right and become a different kind of community where everybody can thrive.
And that's one of my earlier questions going to be, what do you see like on the forefront? What are those things, besides hopefully no more of those horrible things that do bring humans together? What's the exciting stuff coming, or things that will keep us going in the right path of bringing everybody together, bringing kind of what we talked about earlier that you've written about, of just opening doors, bringing community and opportunities to the area?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, when things are unscripted, unplanned, even unwelcomed, but you see the resilience of people, pivoting in their plans in real time to be responsive to the need, it can be a beautiful thing, beauty from ashes, in that, I've had a chance to see a lot of public and private partnerships come together. So that event that we had with Danny right in front of Steve's Hot Dog, and it was amazing. Probably close to 1,000 people came through. We raised $50,000 that night for tornado victims, so small businesses can apply for a mini grant to just take care of whatever they need and get a $5,000 mini grant from those funds. And then we went out, and I've got some amazing champions like Maxine Clark is on our board, helped us match those funds. So we've raised a little over $100,000 right now, just to, again, provide that tornado immediate relief that small businesses need, and the needs are many, just to, whether they need to pay for deductibles, get new equipment, replace windows, you name it. I mean, the needs are many, but we are here to be gap fillers in real time and support those needs so people can get back to business as soon as possible. Besides that, again, it's a great opportunity for some real system reset. So we know there are some kind of wonkadoodle things about our systems that have been like that since the early 1900s. And, you look at old policies that, they just don't make sense anymore. So, let's rewrite the narrative to create the space that we want it to be. This we can do this now. That's the one good thing, I guess, about a clean slate. So no one really wants to suffer or go through this kind of loss, but we will get through it. And because there are so many people, again, that would not have come together otherwise, we are seeing that kind of engagement of public and private partnerships really coming together. Even, ahead of, there was a window where we hadn't gotten the FEMA designation. And so we didn't know how long that may or may not take, so you can't wait on the government to do everything. People need to just know to do what's right when they can and do good by their neighbor.
So from talking today, I can tell this is a resilient community, not only what was built prior to the tornado, but coming out of that. Any businesses or stories that really stand out to share with those that are listening?
Yeah. I mean, I think probably because she's been on the news a lot of people have heard about Dallas's story from Beyond Sweet. She had 5 businesses on Delmar. I think we're going to still be able to keep one of them. She's already had to relocate 4 of her 5 businesses, but amazing and already just out there mentoring people. I've been working with her to help people relocate. So, when and where we can, we are working with businesses to help them relocate. So that's kind of the first R in the relief and rebuild to relaunch. It's a kind of succession, but it starts with relocating for some. There are other businesses that maybe people don't even know that they're still open. They didn't lose everything, but the surrounding area is not looking like, there's boards on this side, boards on that side. You wouldn't know that Too Much Sauce has the best chicken wings every Friday. They've got a great special. Like, you can still get it. Don't ignore those boards. They are open, So that's another thing. There are businesses that are still open and really need the support as well. I know that when we first had the charitable event concert where we raised $50,000, a lot of people came out, but I of course was reminding folks, hey, do your box lunches with these folks, like really seek them out, because it's not over and we've got a long haul to go. So we have really always been a co-working space in Delmar Divine, and that building is really just perfect and set up for that. I know that ultimately that's part of Kevin's vision, what he's doing with the elevation plans on the other side of Kings Highway. And to our stakeholders and officials, we are looking to do streetscaping, because there's just a lot of things long term that we really want for the vision for our city. There's a whole notion that St. Louis has been known for having quite a few vacancies, but with as many vacancies as we have, we should not have one business that does not have a home. So no such thing as a homeless business when we have as many vacancies as we have. So really just give us a while and help you to do a little Match.com to help. Yeah, we're here to help a business fall in love with a new building if that's what's needed as one of their first efforts. But yeah, the team has been resilient, and I'd say even just working with, say, like I mentioned the East Loop SID earlier, the Loop side didn't get hit as much, so they've been really great to just opening up the inventory that they have available to get folks in to do tours, also to give businesses the opportunity to do pop-ups. So sometimes there's businesses that would allow another business to do business in their business, right? So, you think of somebody like St. Louis Made that had all of this artwork from makers and jewelry. I mean, some of these things, like I noticed, even if you've been to Danny's place, she's got that little section in the front where she's selling the glassware, and so you can create space, like if it can create point of purchase space like that in a pre-existing business. This might be a very small thing that you could do that's a really big thing to help a small business get back on the ground in the downtime, just so that they can earn some revenue and pay their staff and get back open sooner than later. So yeah, it's a process, but we're excited about just the creative ways that people are coming together to still make the register ring.
That's as we wrap up, an inspiring message, not only before the tornado, of creativity, building a community, small businesses, bringing people together, hope, but even through and after the tornado, all of that together, inspiring resilience. Again, so many people that you wouldn't maybe imagine partnering, and that, like you said, opening spaces for others to come in and supporting them and helping them.
Yeah.
What a amazing energy to be around. So as we wrap that up, and people are probably like, wow, I want to be a part of that. How do they jump in and become a part of that, whether it's, that area or, your group and what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, so many things bear the Delmar name. So we are Delmar Main Street, STL. The website would, of course, be delmarmainstreetstl.com. And the office phone is 314-399-6133. You can text that number, because I can tell you, oh boy, those voicemail, they add up quick. But I welcome people to really dig in and push up their sleeve. Again, there's so many different ways you can volunteer. We have an amazing board. This really is a community-facing board, as well as committees, even for people who wouldn't maybe want to be a full-time board member, but even getting involved with the committees, which can get you involved with the events. And our events are so much fun. Like, we have taco crawls and wine crawls and concerts, and again, Delmar does have Big D energy. There's always something to do on Delmar, and it's so important for us to just keep fueling the energy of our small businesses, as they really do keep our homes and our neighborhoods alive. So we're very thankful, and we want to support those who serve St. Louis every day.
So if you want to make memories, make an impact for now and probably decades, a long time to come.
Yes.
And make new friends, join and help out and make an impact in whatever way you can.
Yes, it's unity. It's a whole thing. We are a one big old 37,000 person family, but it's amazing because it is so diverse, and you just get a chance to really see people work side by side who care about the same thing. And at the end of the day, that's what draws us closer, not divides us, but that's what pulls us in together. And that's what the Main Street America model has always been about. It's about creating places for people, and we've got just this really, if St. Louis and the Arch is known as the gateway to the West, I'd say where we are is really the gateway to the city. As we sit at the intersection of the city and the county, we're the gateway to the city of St. Louis. So come check us out.
Great way to end. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
And continued luck, and it's really not luck, but blessings with everything that you guys are doing there.
Oh yeah, God spared my life that day. I'm happy to be here to talk about it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This concludes another episode of the She Lift Project podcast. To hear more episodes of the show, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And to learn more about our mission of helping women reach higher levels of success, visit sheliftproject.com and sign up to receive the latest news, ebooks, videos, and more.